Alright, so apparently there was an IGN article that Bungie is losing its soul or people are being eroded or something like that. So I figured I'd chime in on this because it does seem like I'm the only one in this part of Destiny community that has any experience with this type of stuff. And it's worth your time to listen to it because I've been through it for the last 10 years and I can tell you exactly what's going on behind the scenes, or what is most likely going on behind the scenes. So if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about what's probably happening from an HR perspective, stick around, my dudes. Let's get right into it. What's up, my dudes? Guys, I'm going to try to be as respectful as possible with all this. I'm not trying to sound like an HR corporate, special dude, but just from reading the article, there's so many different bits of subjectivity there that I don't know how much of it is accurate, how much of it is truthful, factual. And a lot of it seems like it's left up for interpretation. So to me, that is not necessarily factual reporting, but I do understand that outrage culture is a thing and Bungie's the hot topic right now. So the first thing you're taught when you're researching any given topic or looking into journalism or anything of that nature, articles of this type should always be checked for source. So Miss Rebecca Valentine is the one that's reporting on all this, and I'm very certain that an employee had talked to her. But the types of things that she's probably being told by this anonymous source are likely not accurate. Not at least to the full extent if we got a source of information from like an executive or from someone that is officially speaking on Bungie's behalf. So everything in this article should be taken with a grain of salt. And with that in mind, I'm not going to move forward with an HR perspective on everything that you guys read within this article so that we can get a little bit of, maybe a little bit more of a well-rounded opinion on it. So let's go over step one real quick, the Declaration of Independence. This little part of the article raises a ton of questions, but it does give us some answers about the actions that were taken. So there are things that you can assume as both an employee and the HR professional what they're trying to communicate. But this does let us know that there's a bunch of unknowns that are being done behind the scenes. For example, we don't know what the actual financial goals set by Sony and Bungie are together. And another key point that I personally laughed at was that Bungie prides itself on being an independent studio. That is not historically accurate. Bungie was owned by Microsoft, and then they were together with Activision. They went a couple of years solo, and now they're owned by Sony, basically. So, again, another inaccuracy within the article that everyone just seemed to not look at. But let's take a look at what the HR, what Bungie, what the managers are actually trying to tell you from bits and pieces of this little section right here. There's a lot of tactical manipulation involved with the information right there, by the way. So let's go over that real quick. They got rid of, and they are cost-cutting, a lot of different things. But there's two main ones in there that stood out to me because those are the biggest source pains for a company to deal with. All the little things that you're looking at within this little part of it right here, such as the knitting class being gone, employee donation matching, new hire lunch program, those are designed to both retain employees and attract other people. It's a recruiting effort, a marketing effort, more than it is anything else. That includes the wellness at work, being gay at Bungie, being black at Bungie. Those are all just different public imagery and recruiting efforts that they have going on, but those are not essential to the business or its campaign to make money for, Papa Sony now. We know that this doesn't matter to Bungie because they actually hired an HR manager who came to work and found an inequality at their workplace, and she was fired. And now she's suing them for wrongful termination based on the fact that she did her job, did it well, has documented proof of everything that she was doing and why she was doing it, and they still let her go. That should let you know how they're prioritizing right there. I'm getting a little off track, but just so you guys know, Latin at Bungie, accessibility, all of that is just a marketing ploy. It makes them look good in the public view, and they can use it as a recruiting tool so they can get talented employees in there, people that want to do the right thing and have the right ideals. They don't necessarily care about that. They really just want to get top talent, and that is a tool for them to utilize to get that top talent. Now, the big thing that you're looking for as an employee is when they do these two things. They're getting rid of bonuses. It doesn't matter your performance or your review, your bonuses are being cut. That's a big one. And they're also stopping the annual compensation program and the employee compensation adjustment to meet market rates. So that's also huge. That is every employee foregoing raises for the next however long, and that's every employee not getting bonuses, which is something that they're entitled to via their contracts. So they're probably having to renegotiate contracts right now for what they consider to be a proper bonus structure. That is huge. That's writing on the wall right there. If I'm an HR professional, I'm probably screaming at my buddies in the background to tell them that they need to start looking somewhere else, probably sooner rather than later. So in HR language, anytime you take away a bunch of things, There is a good reason to do it, of course. Cost cutting is a good reason, but you're usually putting together a bunch of things to make it look like you're trying to cost cut. Some of them are just a couple of $1,000s, while others will save them literal millions. And you can use that in your defense of all the things that you're cutting. Well, we also had to cut the new lunch hire program. Hey, I know you've been working really hard, but we cannot give you the normal annual raise that we're used to giving you, because we've had to cut costs across the board. Don't you remember the pentathlon and the virtual day? We had to cut all that out too. It's just, again, HR speak for we're trying to save money. Here's all the list of things that we've put together that we have to cut, like a cooking class that maybe 10 people attended, for example. It's an HR corporate response to let you know this is what they really wanted to do. They wanted to take away bonuses and take away raises. So that's the main bulk of what you should be worried about right there. That's a problem, in my opinion. So according to the article, there's a company-wide sentiment that Final Shape needs to do well. I don't know that that's going to matter, because once these things are cut, it's not likely they're coming back. And these have probably been on the chopping block for a while, and this is the opportunity they needed to cut these things that they don't view as being helpful to the business or to the employees anyway. Employees chiming in about being angry and upset, they're still passionate about what they're doing. As per Bungie's own response, they just don't want you to be apathetic or indifferent. Apparently just like their managers are, by the way. But being apathetic and not caring means you are looking for a way out, and if you are angry, it means that you'll still stay there and work passionately on the job that they've given you to do. Another corporate strategy right there, another HR strategy, is to take away things that they've given you so that you notice. And yeah, that's what they did with all this. Alright, let's move on to the next part of the article that I found super interesting, because this has a lot of tells written all over it. The QA team, which means quality assurance, has been given extra responsibilities, and then they've been written up for things that they didn't inherently do well, even though they were giving double the responsibility, what was considered to be normal or within their original contract. So in HR, if you want to let somebody go, you find reasons to do that. And one of the things that they do, which is pretty sneaky, is they will create a task of things for you to do, give you extra responsibility, make you come in on the weekend, or give you something ridiculous that's outside of your normal scope of job responsibility. And if you do not adhere or do those things, it is then used as a write-up against you. And then when they do fire you, lay you off, give your job to somebody else, they show you this list of reasoning that they have as proof of evidence that you didn't do what you were hired to do. So I'm going to get my final thoughts on all this. And I don't think anyone at Bungie is inherently safe right now. I don't think the managers are safe either. The employees have the opportunity right now to start looking around. I don't think any of you should feel any obligation whatsoever to finish up this project called Final Shape. That sucks for me as a player, but you need to look out for yourselves. You guys need to survive. The managers are going to be fine until Final Shape and Marathon are released, in which case I believe that they are strategically going to get bought out so Sony can eventually take over Bungie as a company. I do believe that's the goal. I think Bungie brought this whole independent studio thing to the negotiating room because it sounds really good. It doesn't make them independent. I don't think they actually like independency, because every time that they've gotten it, they've sold out to another company for more cash. They could have just stayed independent. Instead, they didn't do that. They were bought out again by Sony, but they used to be involved with Microsoft, and the list goes on. So I do believe that the goal for the managers and the executive team at Bungie is to eventually get bought out by Sony, to get them out of their positions. Managers and executives, they sign a very different contract than the employees. So it is in their interest to let people go. It is in their interest to find stupid ways to make money so that they can get their numbers up high enough so that they can get a sign-out bonus, basically. When they get fired, they get their golden parachutes. That's typical within this environment, within these settings. If Bungie is going to be absorbed by Sony, eventually anyway, I actually consider that to be a good thing, because they'll bring in their own people. I think that if you were an employee at Bungie and you stuck around and you decided to stay, you would probably benefit more under Sony leadership than Bungie leadership. So I don't think it's all bad either way. But I know that's scary to a lot of people because they really have a point of view of Bungie being like this great company. Bungie's never proven that. Bungie has not once proven to any of us that there's something special or unique about them. They do all the same type of strategies that every HR company corporate whatever does in the world. There's nothing about them that strikes me as like, wow, that's super unique. I think that's a great company. They really do well by their employees. No, they don't. They've proven at every corner that they really just care about themselves, the managers that is, and the executives. They don't actually go that far out of the way to do anything all that special. So my last point of view on all this from the HR perspective is, if you're an employee at Bungie, I think you need to start looking for the door. The writing is on the wall. It's time for you guys to survive in a different environment, something that's not so toxic from the top down. The managers at Bungie are probably going to get absorbed or fired once Sony take over anyway. But they're going to do everything they can to pad the numbers so that they get a decent buyout, which is probably in their contracts anyway. So that's it, my dudes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope I was able to give you a unique perspective on the inner workings of what goes on within the HR environment. All right, my dudes. I'll see you in the next one. Keep it awesome out there. Love all you guys.